Hello everyone and welcome back on the channel Glaryon. During the last couple of weeks, I would say, there has been a lot of talking online about the gays. Basically, there is a huge discussion about the reintroduction of child's therapies to avoid the insurgence of homosexuality in children, of course promoted by the Trump administration. I've seen quite a lot of posts about homosexuality in general, not only related to children, and thousands of comments about oh, finally we return to natural order, finally some normal practices, finally someone that says that homosexuality is not normal, it's not natural. And this is quite common actually, even in my country, Italy. Many people think that homosexuality isn't something natural due to forgive me, an approximate way of understanding evolution. Common sense tells us that every living organism has the best interest to reproduce himself in order to make his or her genes inherited by the next generations. Thinking like this looks obvious that something like homosexuality, which prevents an organism from reproducing, should be a bad thing, should be something not natural. Fasten your seatbelts because I'm now explaining homosexuality in nature from a biological and ecological standpoint. First things first, it makes sense to talk about homosexuality only in monogamous species. In polygamous species, if you see two individuals of the same sex show some sexual traits between each other, you wouldn't say that's homosexuality because it could be related to hormones or life cycles or anything else. If you copulate with a lot of different organisms, it can happen that sometime you could even get distracted and pick one of your same sex instead of another of a different sex. Homosexuality, as intended by human beings, can only be applied to monogamous species that choose only one single partner for their entire life. And if we have to say that something is unnatural, I would say that monogamy, it's not natural. You limit yourself to only reproduce with a single partner for your entire life. If you would reproduce with a lot of different partners, you would increase the chance of your genes to be inherited by the next generations. And shockingly, monogamy is indeed something that's not common in nature. And related to monogamy, we also have to make a fast disclaimer. Exist two different types of monogamy: social monogamy and genetic monogamy. What we define as monogamy should be genetic monogamy, which means choosing one partner with which we copulate exclusively for our entire life. Whilst social monogamy means choosing a partner with which we live for our entire lives, but sometimes it can happen that we copulate with other individuals. Talking about mammals, only from 3 to 5% of the total amount of species present social monogamy, and not a single species has shown genetic monogamy. So it's genetic monogamy that should be considered an anomaly. The group of animals that shows the largest amount of monogamy are birds. From 80 to 90% of birds shows social monogamy. But genetic monogamy? Even in birds, it's pretty rare. There are not a lot of examples, but I've selected 3 which I think are the most common and probably more known, which are pigeons, penguins, and swans. All of them shows genetic monogamy, so are the closest we can get to our concept of homosexuality. And in each and every one of these, homosexuality has been observed. Actually, homosexuality has been observed in basically every species known to man. But let's get a disclaimer first. When we do a study, mostly in the biological field, we have to take into account the fact that the presence of the humans, of the researcher, can affect the result you obtain. Being with people could affect the animal behavior and make them do things that normally they wouldn't. And most of the studies conducted on animals happens in labs or in domestic situations. It's very difficult to study an animal in his natural environment without affecting his behavior with our presence. So, if we see homosexuality in a captivity couple, can we assume that also wild couples, wild population would show homosexual couples? No, but there are studies that shows also this. Let's start from pigeons. In captivity has been shown many times that pigeons can create homosexual couples. And during a study has been found also in a wild population a couple of female pigeons. So regarding pigeons, we have found homosexuality both in captivity and in wild populations. And you may be asking, how is that possible? What is the advantage, the evolutionary advantage of homosexuality? You cannot reproduce yourself. It's a disaster for your inheritance. That's not quite true. We have to remember that evolution doesn't increase the chance of the single individual to reproduce. Evolution works on the survivability of the entire species. If homosexual couples can increase the chance of survivability or the chance of reproducing of the entire population they live in, then they can be an advantage for the species. There are two main ways a homosexual couple can help their population. The first one is simply related to survivability of the other individuals. If a couple doesn't have children to take care of, they can use most of their time searching for resources. That's what happened in pigeons. When a pigeon finds food or shelter or other resources, all the population can access to that resource. So a homosexual couple has a lot more time to invest in searching for resources, and then all the other individuals have more time to take care of children. So even if you cannot make your genes be inherited, you can make the genes of all your other companions be inherited. Let's remember that the genetic similarity between you and your child or you and your brother or sister, it's basically the same. So your genes are inherited both if your child reproduce or your brothers reproduce. The second way a homosexual couple can actually help their population is through adoption. And this is the case for penguins. A homosexual couple will not have any natural children, so they will be always free to adopt orphans' children from other couples. This has been shown with Adelia penguins. In Adelia penguins, homosexuality has been proven mostly in captivity situations, even though there are a few journalistic reports that says they have found homosexual couples even in nature. But journalism and science are two different things. I haven't found any scientific paper that talks about homosexuality in wild penguins. I only found journalistic reports, so I will stick with the things about captivity studies. Penguins have a complex social structure. They live in large population, and inside the population they form strong monogamous couples which can take care only of one chick at the time. While one parent go in search for food, the other parent take care of the child, and when the first parent come back, the second go to search food for himself. You can understand that if one parent suddenly dies, the other parent has a lot of difficulties raising their children. It will have to dedicate far more time to hunt, and the chance of him being killed increase a lot. to the point that it's pretty common that a single parent die in a short amount of time. But what happens to the orphan kid? Penguins make a large use of adoptions. So, when a penguin chick is abandoned by their parents, it goes in search of another couple of parents that can take care of him. But penguins can only grow one single chick at the time. So if a couple already has a kid, they will not adopt the orphan one. And again, homosexuality has a big advantage, because homosexual couple will always have a spot free to take care of orphans. The last case is for swans. Most of swans shows genetic monogamy. I will take in consideration black swans. Of course, homosexuality has been observed even in black wild swans by bird watchers, basically, and they also observed a fascinating behavior. Homosexual couples steal eggs from the nest of heterosexual couples. You could be thinking, oh my god, they steal the children of other couples? It's terrible. It's actually not. By stealing eggs or even chicks, they reduce the amount of work that the original couple has to do to grow all the chicks. The net effect is that more children can actually survive and grow into adults when they are stolen by homosexual couples. Monogamy in swan is very, very strong, to the point that if the partner dies, a swan can let himself die too and suicide to cope with the pain of the loss. And in this case too, homosexual couples has the advantage to take care of orphan swans. So, what's the take-home message? You are free to believe whatever you want about homosexuality, about homosexual adoptions of children, but you have to stop thinking homosexuality is unnatural and has no natural advantages. Homosexuality has been proven, has been shown, has been studied, and is, without any reasonable doubt, something that creates an advantage for the species that has homosexual couples. If many people think homosexuality is bad or it's not natural, it's only related to our culture and mostly to our religious culture and our religious inheritance, because there is no biological or ecological reason to doubt the naturality of homosexuality. I am Glaryon, and if you want to know more, be sure to follow me on all my channels.